It's time for my 2025 post-spring Group of 5 top 25. Let's take a second to talk about the teams that could make a push for that Group of 5 playoff bid. At 1 and 2, I've got Tulane and Boise State, respectively, both programs in a similar situation where some people might look at some of the talented players they lost and say, oh, they'll regress this season, and it's just not going to be the case. The Broncos are loaded with all-conference players, and Tulane so effectively replaced their guys that they lost. Look out for Caden Simonza this season at quarterback. He was the freshman MAC Player of the Year last season. At number 3, I've got Navy. Navy absolutely reloaded this offseason, brought back so many of the guys, including their quarterback Blake Horvath, that made them successful last year, and they have got a Charmin ultra-soft start to their schedule that they can use to catapult them to a successful year. At number 4, I've got James Madison, the favorites in the Sun Belt this season, a team that is absolutely stacked, including in their quarterback room, and I think they're going to be in a position to finally win that Sun Belt title that has eluded them. At 5, I've got UTSA. Their returning production is off the charts. They were a lot better than their record indicated last season, and I think they'll be a serious threat in the American. At number 6, I've got Liberty. I think they're in a great position to win the CUSA and bounce back this season. They were pretty dysfunctional throughout a lot of last year, but they bring back a ton of their top contributors, specifically on defense, which will be one of the best in the Group of 5 this year. Toledo, I think, is going to be a serious contender in the MAC. Once again, one of the most talented MAC teams, arguably the most talented. They'll be in a position to make something happen with Tucker Gleason and company. At number 8, I've got South Florida. The Bulls are a team that have been right there. They play an extremely difficult non-conference schedule, but once they get into conference play, they'll be a serious threat. At 9, I've got North Texas. I think they'll have one of the best offenses in the Group of 5, and their defense is starting to catch up just a little bit. That'll be a key indicator for how their season will go this year. At 10, I've got UNLV. Yes, they lost some talented players. Yes, there's a few questions, but I like Dan Mullen as a head coach. I think UNLV will turn into a solid season. Memphis has got a bunch of questions too, but they've got the continuity to have a solid year. Colorado State, I think, will be a contender in the Mountain West. Army lost a ton, but is still a team with a very high floor as a service academy. UConn won every game versus a Group of 5 opponent last season, and they got arguably better. Their schedule does get slightly tougher this year, but I think they'll be in a great position to win a lot of games. I got Western Kentucky at 15. They'll be a contender in the CUSA despite a ton of lost players from last season and basically an entirely new staff outside of their head coach Tyson Helton. Texas State and Louisiana should be contenders in the Sun Belt again this season. Miami of Ohio will be right there in that MAC title race. East Carolina, I think, is going to continue some of their positive momentum. San Jose State's going to be great in year 2 under Ken Niumatalolo. The run and hoot offense is in full effect at Florida Atlantic. New Mexico and Jason Eck, I'm actually really excited about this year. Fresno State could have some turmoil, but is still a very talented team that I think will do well, even though I'm not completely sold on Matt Entz. Buffalo will be a solid MAC team. Air Force should return to a bowl game and be a solid team in the Mountain West. And then we've got the just miss category, which is Old Dominion, Georgia Southern, South Alabama, 3 Sun Belt teams there, and then San Diego State and a Louisiana Tech team that I think will be surprisingly potent and make another bowl game this season. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of my post-spring Group of 5 top 25?